is Gina Leccio of Selfless Esteem, in which you find peace and joy by focusing less on ourselves and more on the love of God. Today's episode is about coping with the death of a loved one. Someone writes, "Dear Selfless Esteem, my husband died a couple months ago and I'm devastated. I told our kids that he's in heaven. Still, we're all hurting. My 12-year-old is irritable, my 9-year-old is having stomach aches, and my 4-year-old is clingy and has nightmares. What else can I do?" Signed, Overwhelmed with Grief. Well, overwhelmed with grief, my sincere condolences to you. I cannot even begin to imagine what you're going through, and my heart goes out to your children too. You stated you told your children that their father's in heaven. Yes, that good news is God loves us so much that he gave his only son so that we could have eternal life, as stated in John 3:16. But in the meantime, we miss our loved ones. And so you asked, what else can I do? First of all, be sure to take care of yourself. Not only are you grieving the loss of your husband, but also you're adjusting to becoming a single parent. So here are some suggestions. Request help and accept help from friends and family to watch the kids and or bring food. Find a competent therapist. Join a support group, such as one offered by Grief Share. See my podcast episode about managing stress for tips on self-care. And you can spend quiet time with the God of all comfort, as stated in 2 Corinthians 1:3. Be vigilant of complicated grief. And I'll talk about what that is in a minute. And also seek professional help. Complicated grief includes, but is not limited to, the following: absent or delayed grief, feeling stuck in one emotion for a long period of time, for example, fear, anger, or helplessness, avoiding grief through substance use, blaming oneself, or chronic grief and depression. Sometimes people experiencing bereavement have suicidal thoughts. If you or any of your children are having suicidal thoughts, call or text the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988. There's also a chat feature at suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Of course, in imminent danger, call 911. For other countries, Wikipedia has a list of suicide crisis lines. According to J.W. Warden, who's the author of Grief Counseling and Grief Therapy, a handbook for the mental health practitioner, there are 4 tasks to accomplish during the grieving process. These tasks are not necessarily completed in sequential order. Accept the loss, process the pain, adjust to life without the deceased, find a place for the deceased in the survivor's emotional life. The accomplishment of these tasks by children depends on their support system, their coping skills, and how well the surviving parent adapts. Children grieve in different ways depending on their culture, environment, and especially their age. For this reason, your interventions will be tailored to each child. Your youngest child needs frequent reassurance that you are there for him. Be sure to show him affection often. Your middle child seems to be somatizing his distress. Nonetheless, he would benefit from a physical exam to make sure there are no health problems. Your oldest child might be hiding his feelings and defaulting to anger because it feels strengthening, whereas sadness feels weak. For all your children, consider family therapy and or individual therapy to help your children find ways to cope. They might also benefit from a support group or grief camp. Whenever possible, try to keep changes in their lives to a minimum. And if their school performance declines, collaborate with school personnel on how to support each child. People wonder, how long does mourning last? There's no time limit on grief, so it's important to commemorate your family member on an ongoing basis. For example, you could make a collage, slideshow, photo album, or artwork with your children. You could even name a star after him in the International Registry of Stars. And then y'all can look for the star together. Special occasions and the anniversary of the death can be especially difficult. Discuss with your children which traditions they would like to keep and what new ones they would like to create. In addition to the aforementioned recommendations, here are some suggestions to promote healing. Participate in fun activities together. Go for a walk. Enjoy hobbies. Play sports. Journal. Write a letter to the person who died. Peruse the internet, bookstore, or library for books for youth about grief and loss. Here are some examples. Why Do I Feel So Sad? A Grief Book for Children by Tracy Lambert, LPC. How I Feel. Grief Journal for Kids. Guided Prompts to Explore Your Feelings and Find Peace by Mia Roldan, LCSW, LCDC. I Miss You. A First Look at Death by Pat Thomas. Fire in My Heart, Ice in My Veins, A Journal for Teenagers Experiencing Loss by Enid Samuel Tradesman. Understanding Mourning, A Guide for Those Who Grieve by Glenn W. Davidson. Straight Talk About Death for Teenagers, How to Cope with Losing Someone You Love by Earl A. Grollman. The Memory Box, A Book About Grief by Joanna Rowland. Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. Angel Catcher, A Journal of Loss and Remembrance by Kathy Eldon and Amy Eldon Turtletop. Last but not least, when you are overwhelmed with grief, take comfort in knowing that God is with you as stated in Matthew chapter 28, verse 20, and that He shares your pain. For example, Jesus wept with the mourners when Lazarus died, even though He already knew He was going to raise Lazarus from the dead. And you can find that story in John chapter 11, verses 33 through 36. Furthermore, God is your helper, as stated in Psalm 54:4. If you're too emotionally exhausted to pray, that's okay, because He knows what you need before you even ask, as stated in Matthew chapter 6, verse 8. Instead, you can simply rest your head on His shoulder, as stated in John 13:23, while He holds your hand and strengthens you, as stated in Isaiah chapter 41, verses 10 and 13. And if you'd like to ask a question of Selfless Esteem, you can do so at GinaLeggio.com, and the answer could be featured in a blog post, podcast, or YouTube video.